Hello everyone and welcome to Study IQ English. I am Joycey Joy. In this video, we will be discussing about the second Narasimham Committee, which is the Committee on Banking Sector Reforms. So the Committee on Banking Sector Reforms is popularly known as the second Narasimham Committee. In the previous day's video, we have discussed about the first Narasimham Committee or the Narasimham Committee 1, which was established in 1991 as a part of or after adoption of economic reforms in the year 1991. We will be discussing about Committee on Banking Sector Reforms in detail, which is a second committee of Narasimham. That is, the chairman of this committee was also Mr. M. Narasimham, who was the former governor of RBI. So let's come to this committee in detail. This committee was established in 1998. So the year of establishment of this committee was 1998. Which is a gap of about 7 years from the first committee. First committee was in the year 1991 after the reforms, and after 7 years in 1998, the second Narasimham Committee was established. Information technology and communication networking systems have revolutionized the functioning of banks and other financial institutions the world over. So this was the background at which the Narasimham Committee 2 was established. So IT, Information Technology, ITC, Information Technology and Communications has revolutionized the banking system on financial institutions the worldwide. In the highly industrialized countries, access to any financial entity is on an online basis. So in highly industrialized countries, that is those countries which are highly industrialized, access to financial entity is on an online basis. That is, financial services are available on an online basis. It is available through a digital platform. Banks as well as other financial entities in India have only recently entered the world of information technology and computer networking. If you see, it was in the last 5 to 6 years that there is an increased focus on digital transactions or digitization of banking services, less cash economy, cashless economy, etc. It will take some time for banks to adopt the state-of-art technology in their day-to-day operations. The financial sector reforms of the 90s and the opening up of the economy and its integration with the global market have facilitated speedier computerization in the banking sector as a means to minimizing the cost of operations and improving customer services and the overall efficiency over the medium term. So this was the background at which Narasimham Committee was established. In the year 1991, when India decided to open up itself to the world economy or to a global world, the banking sector was also a part of it. And as a part of it, the Narasimham Committee 1 was established. We have seen what were the recommendations of this committee in the previous video. Now, after 7 years, it was thought that even more reforms are required in the banking sector. And that was the reason we established the second Narasimham Committee under the same chairman, Mr. M. Narasimham. Now, let's come to this report. The Committee on Banking Sector Reforms, which is the Narasimham Committee 2, has in its report dealt with in detail the issues in technology upgradation and observed that most of the technologies that could be considered suitable for India have been introduced in some form or the other as a pilot. The desired success has not, however, been achieved. The committee has listed certain action points for the implementation in this regard. We have seen what is the background at which the second Narasimham Committee came into being. It was in a time when information technology and communication technology was taking over the banking sector in the developed countries. In the developed countries, it was through digital transactions or digitization that the economy had offered the banking services to its people. And it was a time when India did not completely adopt or India did not adopt information technology and communication technology as a means to provide the banking services. So this committee in detail discussed about the issues in technology upgradation. What are the issues that the country faces with regard to technology upgradation in banking services, and what are the convenient or the suitable technologies that India could adopt. Apart from that, even though some technology were adopted in India, it was only on a pilot basis, which means it was only on an experimental basis. It was only on an experimental basis. The desired success has not, however, been achieved. The desired success is not achieved, and the committee has also listed certain action points. That is, some recommendations are also given by the committee in this regard. Now let's come to the recommendations of this committee. First one, classification of banks into a four-tiered structure. So this committee said that the banks in the country, that is all the banks in the country, should be classified into a four-tiered structure. So 4 levels should be created for the entire banks in the country. First one is tier 1 banks, banks which are competent at the international level. So those banks which are capable of competing at the international level should be classified as tier 1 banks. That is the first category. So classification of banks into a four-tiered structure, that is, the banks should be classified into a four-tiered structure. The first one, the banks which are competent at the international level. Now second one is the banks which are competent at the national level. So second tier would comprise of those banks competent at the national level, and third tier banks competent at the regional level, and fourth is at the rural level. So these were the 4 tiers or 4 different levels of banks that should be made, or the existing banks should be classified into these 4 groups. This was not an accepted recommendation. This recommendation was not accepted by the government. But why is this recommendation relevant now? This recommendation is relevant now because now RBI has started classifying banks as DSIBs. DSIBs are those banks which belongs to the first category, that is tier 1 banks. Banks which are competent at the international level. Those banks are called the DSIBs. So DSIBs are domestic systemically important banks. Those banks which are competent at the international level, and those banks which has a capital or an asset worth of more than 2% of GDP are classified as DSIBs. So these are equivalent to the tier 1 banks the Narasimham committee recommended in 1998. Even though that recommendation was not accepted then, now it is very relevant. Now there are 3 DSIBs in India: SBI, ICICI and HDFC. These are the 3 domestic systemically important banks in India. Next recommendation was that strong banks should be merged with strong banks. So strong banks and strong banks should be merged together. This recommendation was also not accepted in 1998. But how does it become relevant now? Now we have seen that in the year 2015-16 financial year, SBI and its associates were merged together. Now, SBI is a very strong bank, and associates of SBI, the State Bank of Travancore, State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur. So, State Bank and its associates, they were strong in their own capacity. State banks existed at the associate level or the local level. They were strong at the regional level. So, these banks were merged together. So, strong banks and strong banks got merged together. Again, this recommendation is accepted now, even though it was not accepted then. Third one, government should reduce its shareholdings in the public sector banks to 33%. This was also not accepted in 1998. But if you see the new disinvestment policy, of the government, you will understand that the government is planning to disinvest the banks, but not now, on a later stage or on a phased manner. So, this is again important. So, now government is considering this recommendation. Fourth one is capital adequacy ratio should be increased from 8 to 9%. And this was in fact the only recommendation which was accepted by the government during that time, that is in 1998. So this was the only recommendation accepted in 1998. According to the Basel norms, a capital adequacy ratio of 8% is recommended by Basel norms. But the Narasimham committee too recommended that it should be increased to 9%. If you remember, accepting Basel norms or adopting Basel norms was the recommendation of Narasimham Committee 1. Second, Narasimham Committee recommended to keep the CAR, capital adequacy ratio, a bit higher than the stipulated norm under the Basel norms. So, yes, so capital adequacy ratio is now at 9%. RBI has kept it 9%. Now, what is CAR, capital adequacy ratio? It is the ratio of a bank's capital to its risk. It's a ratio of bank's capital to its risk, and it is decided by the RBI. So, according to Basel norms, it is 8%. Basel norm stipulates it as 8%, but RBI has kept it 9%. This is because of the NPA crisis in Indian banks. So, that's it about the second Narasimham Committee. The second Narasimham Committee is technically known as Committee on Banking Sector Reforms. So, we'll be continuing this series of concepts in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the very best.